Hey there, this is Nate. Today I'm not going to be doing a review of a lens or my camera or anything like that. I'm going to be doing a review of an accessory that I use. This is called the Stroboframe Pro RL, and it's really useful when you're using a flash. And I'll explain why. It doesn't really look like much, it just looks like a funny little contraption, but it's very useful if you're using a flash and you're taking your photos long ways, like where you turn your camera on your side. This is what you want to use for that type of deal. When you get the Stroboframe, the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure you buy one of these right here. This is called an anti-twist plate. For the first few months when I got this, to put it on, you have to screw the camera on through this little screw right here on the bottom, and it doesn't tighten down very well, and the camera turns a lot on here. This plate helps to stop that, and it works very well. Okay, so now it is snugly attached to the Stroboframe, and as you can see, it does not twist at all thanks to this anti-twist plate. You can see it bumps up right against the back of the camera right there and stops it from turning. And now we're going to grab my SB800 speed light. But instead of clipping it into the hot shoe right here, we're going to do something a little different. What we're going to do is we're going to take off the top piece of this cable here, and we're going to clip it into the hot shoe, like that. Now, we take the speed light and we clip the speed light into the top of the cable, which is just an ordinary hot shoe. So now, the speed light is connected to the cable, which runs down into the hot shoe of the camera. Alright, so here's the whole setup right here. And as you can see, there are a bunch of knobs and stuff on the Stroboframe that control different things. This knob right here allows you to tilt the flash. So, say you had it pointed up like this, you could essentially turn it like that, and you could have it pointing straight up still, or you could pretty much turn it right back in your face. I can't imagine why you'd want to do that, but maybe there's a use for it, I don't know. So that's what that one does. This one down here, twist, allows you to raise and lower the height of the arm that holds the flash. This is a little more useful for just getting a little closer to the ceiling if you're using a bounce flash or something like that. I don't typically extend it all the way up this far, but it can be done. And the most useful thing about the Stroboframe, the whole reason I have it, is for this little red knob, little red lever right down here. Okay? Click it up, and then look at that. The camera turns right on its side, but keeps the speed light right where it is. Doesn't sound like much, but let me show you exactly what happens if you turn your camera sideways and the speed light is also facing sideways. Okay, so here's a demonstration as to what would happen if, just per se, my speed light was not attached to the Stroboframe, but was just attached to the hot shoe on the camera, and I went to take a picture sideways. I'm just going to take a picture of this lamp right here just for illustrative effect. Now let's see what happens when I tilt the camera sideways on the Stroboframe and take my picture. Okay, so in those two pictures you can clearly see how when I just turned the thing sideways and had the camera like this and the speed light pointing straight on, it gave you a nasty shadow there on the side. That's what happens with a lot of people when they try to just tilt their camera to the side and take a picture with a flash. You're going to get that every time, guarantee it pretty much. It's pretty much always going to happen. But when I took the camera and just tilted it sideways, with the Stroboframe, and the flash was still pointing up, I got a very nice picture of my lamp. I mean, it's just a lamp, but you know, actually you could see a bit of shadow cast by the big scoop on the top of the lamp, but you would not see that if you're taking a portrait of someone. That's because that shadow would be cast back behind their backs, where you'd not be able to see it. A person's back is typically wider than a person's head, and that lamp, the top of the lamp, is obviously much thicker, much wider than the tiny little stem that runs up to it. So that's what that shadow is from. That shadow will pretty much happen, but you won't see it. It won't be noticeable at all. So this unit, Stroboframe Pro RL, again is its name. It cost me somewhere between $150 and $170. I don't remember precisely how much. Somewhere in between there. And you will also have to buy this cable right here. This cable does not come with it. When I went to the camera shop, they tried to sell me the Nikon cable, which was like $90. I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen. I said, do you have a third-party one? And they said, oh yeah, we got this. We got this one. This is a ProMaster one. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, for goodness sakes, it's a cable. Really. I think the one with the Nikon one might have had like a little autofocus light on the top of this one right here, so it clips onto the camera, and when it's on the hot shoe and it has that little focus light that shoots. But this thing can focus just fine without it. I mean, the speed light does the little thing where it blinks little red lights out of the front of it, and it focuses just fine. The last thing I'll mention about the Stroboframe is you will not want to use this with heavy lenses, okay? Like my 70-200mm f2.8 telephoto pro lens, you really can't use with this very easily. I'll tell you why. If you were to take the camera, screw it on here, right on here, screw the bottom of the camera onto this screw, then attach this lens, which comes out to about there. It's you know how big the thing is. I mean, I'm sure you've probably seen my video of it before. It's so heavy that it makes this part right here buckle and just kind of bounce around, and it's very unstable. It kind of almost seems like it's going to snap off. So you could counteract this if you really wanted to by removing the camera from here and instead attaching the lens itself to this screw with either the tripod foot or just straight to the lens itself. Take off the tripod foot and screw the lens straight in there to yourself. I found that I cannot screw it on tightly enough with the tripod foot. I just screw it right on with the lens. But even then, it's still not very stable, and I will warn you that if you screw it on with just the lens, the dovetailed bottom of the spot where it clips onto the foot, where the lens clips onto the foot, will dig up. It'll chew up the cork pad right here if you choose to do that. So I would not recommend that you use this for heavy lenses. I have not yet tried it with a more suitable portrait lens, such as the 24-70mm f2.8. I hope to get that lens shortly. I'm going to need to be shooting a bunch of different things in low light that are very close to me. I've got a whole bunch of jobs that I'm going to be doing shortly, and I really want to have that lens. When I get that lens, I will test it on here, and I will mention in the review of that lens whether or not it is good to use on here. If you have any questions about the Stroboframe Pro RL, or if you need me to explain anything I did a little better in this review, drop me a message, leave me a comment on the video. My name is Nate, and I hope you've enjoyed this review of the Stroboframe Pro RL.